Hold on, there we go. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Renegade Roundtable here on our YouTube channel, our 20th episode. Can't believe it's already been 20 episodes, but we are here, we are live. How is everyone doing tonight? All I gotta say is, for me, I'm happy that we finally got all that stress out of the way right now in terms of last game. And then we get the excitement, at least for me and a bunch of others who are going to the Steelers-Lions game. Of course, again, I will be there. I cannot wait. I am happy right now. And it's going to be a fun time. Can't wait to meet a lot of you guys for the first time in real life. And I'm excited right now for it. And also, I do apologize if the stream does get a little laggy at times. I've been having internet issues lately, so just bear with me for today if we are having issues. But let's go ahead. Let's get started here. So we had an insane game that went on Monday Night Football, the 20th straight. What's up, Jared? I see you. Let's go. Yes, indeed. This game for us, the 20th straight Monday Night Football home winner for the Steelers. That's an insane streak. I think it goes back to like 1992 or something insane, or somewhere in that range. It's an insane record. And just talking about this game in general that we just had on Monday night, where you pull off you do get the come from behind victory against the Chicago Bears, 29-27. It's a game that, looking at how this game went, it seems like it's the typical stuff that goes on each and every week with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's been like this for the last however long it's been. And I apologize if I'm looking down. I want to look at something real quick for the Steelers. Because is this the most amount of, if I'm not mistaken, this might be the most amount of points they've scored all year long. Or I might be stupid. I don't know. Again, it is the most amount of points that the Steelers have scored all year, close to 30 on it. So you like that. You like to see that you are able to put up almost a 30 burger against the defense that overall seemed like was out. They were beating you at the line of scrimmage. It looked like the typical. It looked like the offense that we saw last year for the Steelers down the stretch when we were on that losing streak in terms of the offensive line and just not winning winning the war at the line of scrimmage there. It was one of those things that was annoying because. And it's annoying because now we're in the middle part of the season. And yes, we understood going into the beginning part of the year, it was going to be we were going to have these struggles. It was going to happen. But now we're in that part again where it's like, okay, we're still having these issues. And this is going up against a defense that did not have Khalil Mack and did not have Eddie Jackson. They're two best defenders on the field as well. That's something that needs to be taken into consideration. And they had a lot of plays that just were not – they just did not look – and then how many times was it going to be on 3rd and 1? Just nothing. It was the war at the line of scrimmage was not being won, but then at the end of the day, you did win the football game, so you have to look at it at that. But then you look at things. Ben Roethlisberger, 21 of 30. Okay, so that's what, 50-something%, maybe low 60s, 205 yards, only averaged 6.8 yards per attempt, which is right around his average. He did throw 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times for 30 yards. And that goes back again to the war at the line of scrimmage. You can't have your 39-year-old quarterback, getting sacked 4 times. And especially with Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman, I think was his name, they were having a field day in the interior part of that offensive line for us. That was getting a little annoying. And then what I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, it's the same thing that we consistently see. We look great in the first half. Defense is playing phenomenal. Offense, they look like it's clicking. It looks like they're clicking and things are going well. And then what happens in the second half? We take the foot off the gas. We start playing conservative. And then we allow them to get back in this game. There is no reason why this should have been a game that we had to come back from behind and have a game-winning drive in order for us to win the game. There's no reason for that to happen. And this is something that we're consistently seeing. I mean, you look at the Denver game. You were up big in that game in the first half. And then you allow Denver to come back in the second half. Seattle, you looked good in the first half. You allowed Seattle with Geno Smith to come back in the second half. And then you have Cleveland. Obviously, we all know that was a game in itself where you just were able to shut down the best part of Cleveland's offense, which was impressive coming off the bye. And then you have this game where you allowed Chicago to get right back in this game, where you had Justin Fields. And now, don't get me wrong. Everyone knows I'm a big Ohio State fan, and everyone knows how much I love Justin Fields. And it really sucked for me to have to watch him and root against him, because I really enjoy rooting for Justin Fields. I really hope that he does well. And obviously, I'm not going to continue. I'll stop being a fanboy here for a second for a quarterback that's not on my team. But you look at him, 17 of 29, 291 yards. He had a touchdown, and then that interception with Cam Hayward, where, my God, he's doing it all. You were able to get him sack him 3 times, and it was again the soft coverage. It was just the conservative play in the second half that was getting annoying with all of us. And it was obviously, you know, for those that are on Steeler Twitter, it was going nuts. We're sitting here like, why aren't you putting your foot down on their throat from the moment that first kickoff goes to the end of the game? If this Pittsburgh Steelers team does that, if you can stick your foot on their throats, stomp on their throats, and not let go until the end of the game, this team could have potential. But they don't like to do that. They like to play well in the first half, and then they like to make all of our fans pull our damn hair out and think that all of our arteries are about to get clogged because we think we're about to have a damn heart attack. And this is an every week thing. For as long as we've been Steeler fans, this has been something that we've dealt with. And I don't get why. There are certain coaches that you go into, you may not play that well in the first half, and then you come out in the second half and you look phenomenal. And I understand what the analogy I'm about to make is college. But Ryan Day, again, I'm going back to Ohio State. He is one of the best halftime in-game decision makers, whatever you want to call it, in college football. If the offense or if the team is not looking good in the first half, he's able to make those adjustments. They make those adjustments, and then you see a whole different ball game, a whole different team in the second half. With this team, it seemed, and just all around, it's the complete opposite. We're seeing us look good in the first half. The scripted plays are looking good. But then what's after that? What's going on? We can't have just the success on those first 15, 20 plays, or just in the first half, and then we come out flat on our face in the second half. We can't have that. And especially, and I know I'm eventually going to get the comments about it. I was in group chats where basically, and the amount of people that told me, you only won this game because of the refs. Now, obviously, in that moment, I'm just like, the hell with you. You know, you're just mad we won, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, let's look at it. Let me pull this up real quick. Because, and especially that taunting call with Cassius Marsh, where I understand where maybe that referee was coming from, but then at the end of the day, that it's a whole debacle. It's a whole weird situation with that. But we look at the penalties here. Steelers only have 5 penalties. All right, cool. You have only 5 penalties. That's that's not bad. You would like to have 0, but at the end of the day, 5 is not terrible. Compared to 12 penalties for 115 yards against for Chicago. I forgot what I was trying to say for a second. What's up, Mike? I see you in the comments as well. It's you can't have that. I don't know what's going on with this team. And the way that this team plays, I understand the game that we're getting ready to go into is against the and God knows what Detroit Lions. 0-8, I think they are. And for most teams, that should be actually. You know what? No, I take that back because the way this whole the way that the NFL has been going this year has just been insane, and I don't know if there's any guaranteed games this year. But it would not surprise me to see this game come down in the last couple minutes because, again, the in-game adjustments, the halftime adjustments, are just to play back and play that conservative game, and it doesn't work. It hasn't been working. I mean, yes, we're on a 4-game win streak. That's cool. That's fine. That's dandy. We're 5-3. But why? Why are we having that issue? Why are we not just stomping on their throats? And I understand I keep repeating myself, but it's questions that are just going through not only my mind, but everyone else who's rooting for the Pittsburgh Steelers' mind as well. And then that makes you question, who really deserves the blame for that? Or is it actually Mike Tomlin? Is it the play calling in itself just with Matt Canada? And even especially on defense with Keith Butler. We're noticing that in the first half, offenses look terrible. But then in the second half, they're able to look good. And they come back. I don't get it. And especially with the defensive side of the ball. You're in the first half, what's typically happening? You're getting pressure. You are making quarterbacks uncomfortable. You're making what they're supposed to be their strong suit, not their strong suit, and you're making them struggle. And then in the second half, you're just kind of like, you know what? We're just going to kind of play soft coverage, this, and that, we're going to play conservative, and then they get right back in the game. I'm sorry. So you have Detroit. You're an 8-point favorite. I'm sorry. I don't see this game. I don't see us winning by 8 points or more. I have a great feeling this game's going to go down to the wire. And let's just say, good Lord, thank you to the Lord Jesus above, the fact that we have an elite kicker in Chris Boswell. We have to thank the Lord for that, because if we did it in this team, if we were one of those teams that were consistently having issues with our kicker, things would be a whole lot different. But you look at the rest of the schedule for this team, and we're going to start to play schedule game here in a little bit when we talk about the AFC race, because holy hell is this absolutely insane. So after this game against the Lions, you go to LA to play the Chargers, who has a very potent offense, and they will not let up. Then you play Cincinnati again, who beat you 24-10. Now they're on a little 2-game skid as well, but but you can't take that lightly, and that's another divisional game. Then you play Baltimore at home. That's a very crucial game right now because they are the division leaders. Then you go Thursday Night Football. You play the Vikings at home. Yes, they are 3-5. I'm telling you right now, they are a better team than 3-5. And I think a lot of people who will just look at the record will underestimate them. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. And then people are going to get very irritated. They're going to get very pissed off when we're just not obliterating them. Then you have Tennessee, who's the number 1 team in the AFC right now. Yes, they lost Derrick Henry. But you just saw what happened to the when they played the LA Rams. They obliterated them on Sunday Night Football, on primetime national television. They made Matthew Stafford look like a bum at times. And yes, they just got Odell Beckham. We could get into that maybe later on down the show if we have time. Then you have Kansas City. I'm sorry. Yes, they are 5-4. There's no way in hell right now. I'm still looking at this game for the day after Christmas, December 26th. I'm still going to look at that Kansas City team as the Kansas City that we all have known the last few years. Reason being is because once again, it's December. What has been the trend of the Pittsburgh Steelers team the last 3 years? They struggle in the month of December. At some point in time, I'm going to have to go back and look at the record of the Pittsburgh Steelers since 2018 in the month of December, because it's not good. And yes, their defense is not good. Kansas City's defense is not good. I'm not taking Patrick Mahomes any lightly. I'm still going to look at Patrick Mahomes in that game as the top quarterback in the NFL. Tyreek Hill, he's a burner, and I could see him have a game in that game. Then you go Monday Night Football against the Browns again. That game is going to be absolutely huge. Because now with them losing Odell, now we're going to really see how that team looks, because we understand that without Odell, the Browns look a whole lot better. And we also, what they did against Cincinnati, they made them look like the Alabama's Tech Community College team. So we'll have to see. And then you get Baltimore as your final game in Baltimore. So, just looking at that schedule, the easiest win that will be, yes, the Detroit Lions. Should be. But will it? Probably not. Because we look at games that against inferior opponents, against opponents that should be easy wins. They tend to play down to their opponent. Rather than just obliterating them, putting them out of their misery. And yes, I understand that the Detroit Lions are an NFL football team. You're hearing that all week long from players and coaches that yes, they're still an NFL team. They're no slouch. This isn't, the Citadel or whatever the hell college that is. This is a Lorain County Community College playing football. Even though they don't even have a football team. But you get my point. The rest of the way, you play... So, in total, the rest of the schedule, you play two teams that are under 500 right now. This is a brutal schedule. And yes, it is nice at the fact that you're collecting wins. You're stacking wins. You're 4 in a row after starting off 1-3. But I'm telling you right now, we're not going to continue to win these games. And against those better opponents, playing the way that you've been playing against the, I guess, quote, inferior opponents is going to lead you to losing those games. And right now with the way the schedule is, and the way that the AFC playoff race right now is going, you cannot afford to lose those games. The way that this division, the way that this AFC playoff race is going, and we'll get more in depth in that here shortly. But, like right now, you know what? Let's go with that right now. Let's talk about the AFC race. And you know what? Here, I'll pull it up. Or actually, we'll talk about Week 10 here in a minute too, because I want to talk about key games for that game. So you have the number 1 seed Tennessee Titans. They're 7-2. Number 2 is the Baltimore Ravens, not your Baltimore Ravens. Well, your Baltimore Ravens in terms of the division. That is obviously they play in your division. And then you get the Chargers at 5-3. The Buffalo Bills at 5-3, which you did beat already in case of a wild card situation. If you ever get into that, which I don't see any other team in the AFC East winning that division legitimately. Although New England is 5-4, so I guess in a way there is a way. So that's an interesting situation in itself. Then you get the Las Vegas Raiders. They're 5-3, and obviously they get the tiebreaker because they beat you already. Then you get your Pittsburgh Steelers. You're 6th, so you're in the playoffs right now. But we're not worried about who's in the playoffs on November 11th on Veterans Day. Which, by the way, thank you for all the veterans who have served for us and allow us or have allowed us to do what we do on any given day basis here in America. We do appreciate that a ton, and thank you so much for your service. And then you get New England at 7. But then you look at the teams on the outside looking in. Kansas City is 8. Cleveland is 9. Cincinnati is 10. They were just right. They were up in, I think, the top 2 or 3 in the AFC playoff race, and now they bumped. I think it was 2, and they dropped to 10. And then you get Denver at 5-4. So right now, this AFC playoff race is absolutely insane. And this is the time where you're going to really have to buckle down, and you're going to have to find a way to continue to win these football games. And there's a lot of improvement that can be done. And maybe later on, or if I feel like it here shortly after we get into I want to talk about the Week 10 playoff, or the Week 10 schedule real quick. So I'll pull it up here, right here. So, all right, you don't see it on here, because I forgot about it, but you have the, here, I accidentally cropped it out. But Thursday Night Football tonight, you get the Baltimore Ravens at the Dolphins. Baltimore's an 8.5-point favorite. That should be a win for Baltimore, but we never know. Buffalo just only scored 6 points on the Jacksonville Jaguars. So in reality, we don't know what the hell is going on. And right now, obviously, in this game, we are huge Miami Dolphins fans. But we'll have to see what happens with that. Key games. I think here's some key games that I think is going to be huge for this week, just in itself. And in reality, if you want to just say any team in the AFC is a huge matchup, yes, you could say that. But let's talk about the true key games to this week. I think the first game that we're looking at is the Buffalo Bills at the Jets. The Jets, they're a team that their 2 wins was against the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals. So, and again, Buffalo just lost by 3 points and only scored 6 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So anything is possible. Then you have, let's look at this. Obviously, the Steelers, you need to continue to win. I think the most important game of this week for the Pittsburgh Steelers that you need to pay attention on is this Cleveland Browns versus New England Patriots game, on multiple reasons. Because number one, that puts the Cleveland Browns at a 5-5. And if you could go in and you take care of business against Detroit, that's another game. And that spreads that margin even farther, because right now all 4 teams are in contention for the division. All 4 teams are in contention for the playoffs. This could be one of the first times that there is a slight chance that all 4 teams in the AFC North could make the playoffs if things go out right. The AFC North right now is by far the best team, or the best division of football. And I think the number 2 division is the AFC West. Just because, again, you look at the playoff situation, all 4 teams in the AFC West are also fighting for that playoff spot as well. What's up, Marcus? I see you in the comments as well. And then, like I said, that game right there is so important. Because here, I got to pull it up once again because blah, 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 blah. Give me 1 second. So, you go and you win this game. So you're 6-3. And then you get New England, if they could pull off the victory, they would be 6-4. And then if Cleveland wins, they're 6-4. So you have to, this whole thing is so insane. And then just look at games like this Sunday night game, this Kansas City at Las Vegas game. That's huge for their division in itself, but it's also huge in terms of the playoffs for the Steelers, because if they go and they're 5-4, and then if you could take care of business at 6-3, now you're ahead of them. So now you jump up a spot. That's what I'm saying with this whole AFC playoff race. Something that we really need to take into consideration. And it's something that we're really going to have to pay attention to. and just pray and hope that all the teams that you need to win, or that you need to win, and all the teams you need to lose. Because yes, right now if you continue to win, you're going to put yourself in a good position, but once again, you're going to need some help. I'm telling you this right now. And I think a lot of teams are going to need help with this as well. Let's get back here. All right, let me get back to full picture here. There we go. So now you can see my big ugly face here full again, so I apologize for that. But let's go back into this Chicago game. I understand I'm all over the place, but it's just this whole entire week, and plus my mind is really thinking about this weekend with it meeting everyone. I know Jared was in the comments. I know Marcus was in the comments. We're going to be... Marcus says he's listening and packing. Let's go. That is exactly what I like to hear. I'm going to start packing as soon as I get done with the show here, because I'll be there Saturday. I know some are going to be there tomorrow. I'll be there Saturday. So obviously we're going to see. And if you see me out and about at all in Pittsburgh, don't hesitate to say hi. I'm a very likable person, or I think I'm a very likable person. I'm a very easy person to, just come and say what's up, whatever. I'd love to see that. In fact, I'm encouraging it. I needed my water there for a minute. Doing a lot of talking. Let's go back and let's talk about this more of the Chicago game, because let's do the breakdown here. So in terms of team stats, both teams 20 first downs. All right, that's great. You matched them. There was a match there. They had more passing first downs. Okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not worried about that. 6 of 17 on third down. That is, blah, 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 35%. Got to be better than that. Versus their 25%. So you beat them there, but at the same time, 30-something, 35%, you got to get better at that, especially with that schedule I just told you about. And then you were 2-on-2 on fourth down conversions, which is key. Those are something that is something you like to see. You add, sorry about that, I had a message. You outplayed them, or you ran 8 more plays to them. But here's the kicker here. They had 414 total yards compared to your 280. That's saying something on multiple occasions. You look at that, and you say, all right, so they outscored you, or they out yardaged you by, let's do the math, 414 minus 280 here. They out yarded you by 134 yards. And again, now you're going to hear me say this probably for the rest of the year. With the way this schedule is going, 280 total yards of offense is not going to cut it. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry to tell you this. 7.1 yards per play versus your 4.2. That's something that needs to be cleaned up on multiple ends of the field. That again, I think that goes back to Justin Fields having 10 yards per pass play, or 10 yards average per play or per throw. You can't have that. And that goes to show that I usually screenshot the first half stats, and I didn't this week. But I think a lot of that has to go to with the soft coverage and the conservative that you were going into in that second half. You can't have that. And then you go blah, 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 blah. Yeah, 175 all total passing yards. Can't have that. I think you're going to need more. 105 rushing yards in total. I mean, we understand that the running game is not going to be what we want it to be right now. It shows flashes, but just right now with the way the offensive line is set up, it's just not. I would be more intrigued to see what happens in 2022 and beyond with that when there's more gelling going on. So you only average 3.3 yards per attempt, which is right around the average of Najee Harris, which, again, it sucks. We would like to see that number higher, but again, we have to look at the circumstances that's going on with this team and just with the breakdown of this offensive line and just the offense in itself. You were 3-3 in the red zone. You like to see that. Convert in the red zone. When you get down there, you need to score, and you were able to do that. Again, we talked about the penalties again. Why do I look like... That's a first one. I'll give you that. That is a first. I get told I look like Fat Bastard from Austin Powers a lot, but that was a first. I'll give you that one. And again, I don't know if that's necessarily a compliment or not, because Jared Goff is not good. Ask all the Detroit Lions fans. They're running him out of town at this point. We talked about the penalties in itself. If you guys want to give your comments on that, go ahead. Steeler fan or not, let's be honest here. We probably got some help with that. We'll just be honest here. But turnovers wise, you did win the turnover margin by 1, but that turnover by Ray McCloud, and I'm not going to. Yes, it was a key turnover, and that really put a dagger on things in terms of momentum. I'm not going to be that guy. It's the hair and blue hoodie. Well, I guess so. Yeah, right now my hair is long as hell, and I'm gonna try to get it cut tomorrow for the trip. But no, I just lost my train of thought for a second. Good Lord, have mercy. The Ray McCloud thing. I'm not going to be that guy that completely rips him and all that, because yes, I mean, mistakes happen, and do we want it to happen? No. But we do act like these athletes are robots, and the reality is that's not how it is. And you saw his post where he said, I'll be better in this, that, and the third. And again, that is something you would like to see cleaned up. And I guarantee you all week in practice, that's going to be something he works on, is the ball control and just making sure he doesn't put the ball on the ground. Because, once again, we should have a counter on how many times I mentioned this. Someone in the comments should probably start doing that. The way the schedule is going to go, you're going to need to win the turnover margin. And if you don't win the turnover margin, it's going to end up being a long rest of the season. Oh, man. That's good water. High quality H2O there. And then you dominate. I guess in a way, you could say you dominated the time of possession, 34-05 compared to their 25-55. That's something you would like to continue to see with this offense, because that means that things are rolling and that your drives are being slow and methodical is okay. Not everything has to be one play, bang, Kansas City touchdown. This isn't 2018 Steelers versus Carolina, who just got Cam Newton back. Whereas that first play with Juju Smith-Schuster, we miss you a lot, where you literally hear the call, Juju Smith-Schuster, one play, bang, touchdown. It's not going to be that every time. Slow and methodical is okay. Speaking of which, let's go by that. Let's look at the play-by-play, because I want to look at some of the drives here, just the amount of plays in general. So, just in general, we look at all the drives. What are we going to do with Claypool being out possibly? I think right now what you're going to have to do is, because you already lost Juju, so now you're down 2 receivers. I think you're going to need some of your guys. You're going to need guys maybe like Cody White, Ray McCloud, and even see what happens with Anthony Miller. See what happens. Those guys are going to have to start stepping up, and we might start to see more and more of Pat Freiermuth as well. He's becoming a very good target for Ben Roethlisberger. Especially in clutch situations, Pat Freiermuth has come in huge. And that is something you love to see, because there were some people, and myself included, who was at the draft when this pick happened. And you're like, okay. Like, I wasn't mad at the pick, but I was maybe a little confused. My friend Hunter called me, he is a Browns fan, but he's a very logical Browns fan. Me and him could talk football all day long. He called me. He was kind of confused by the pick too. Not mad, but just a little confused. Because obviously for me, everyone knows, and their mother knows. Yes, I was okay with the fact that Najee Harris, I accepted it once it happened, but I was big on the offensive line train. But it happened, and then you get Pat Freiermuth, who was a willing blocker. He wasn't the greatest of blockers, but he was a willing blocker on the outside, and he was a guy that you could rely on in the passing game. And my God, he has been that. But let's look at some of the play-by-play drives. So you go for start off 3 and out for Chicago. You like to see that. Then you come down on a 6-play, 59-yard drive for a touchdown. And you're like, all right, there we go. That's what we like to see. Hold them to another 3 and out. Then you get a punt, 6 plays, Steelers punt. Then you get the Cam Hayward interception, DPOY or half DPOY along TJ Watt. Then you convert off that. You get a touchdown there, 9 plays, 36 yards. All right, cool. Punt, and then you get a bunch of straight punts until you get a field goal by Chicago on a 12-play drive, and then you get the end of the half. All right, cool. So now at that point you're up 14-3, and if for any of those that were saying you were comfortable and oh yeah we're going to win, hell no, you know damn well that ain't how it works, and we saw once again with this team. So then you go in the second half, 3 and out. The Chicago goes on a 10-play, 89-yard drive. You hold them to a field goal. That drive lasted 5 minutes. Then you do get the touchdown on a 9-play, 75-yard drive. So it's 20-6. All right, cool. And then Chicago, they score a touchdown. What was it? Blah, 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 blah. I forget exactly what the touchdown was with them. Oh, it was a Darnell Mooney. Okay, so it was one of the Darnell Mooney. Then you get a field goal. 23-13, you're up 2 possessions. And then you're like, all right. Chicago fumbles on that punt or on that kickoff return. You punt instead. You get 6 plays for 3 yards. Then you get a fumble return for a touchdown for Chicago. That's where things changed. Because now Chicago has momentum. Because once again, instead of playing aggressive and playing hard, you're not allowing yourself. You're not putting your team in the best position. And then you get the field goal once again. Elite Chris Boswell, 26-20, and touchdown by Chicago. Then you get the field goal, and then it took Chicago to miss a 65-yard field goal for you to come out with that victory. Yes, it is nice to see you win. But you allowed Chicago, to score 24 points in the second half. But not only that, they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter alone compared to 9. So they outscored you in the fourth quarter, where you outscored them in all 3 quarters, but then in the fourth quarter you allowed them to score 21. Why is that? And that's a question that needs to be asked. It needs to be that needs to be addressed ASAP. Let me know down in the comments, what were your guys' thoughts on the game, and what's your thoughts on everything that's going on in the NFL as well. Thoughts on the Odell Beckham signing, thoughts on Cam Newton, thoughts on this team itself, talk the AFC. Let me know. Let's talk. We got about 20 minutes. Let's talk. I sound like Khabib in that fight against Conor McGregor. Let's talk, for those that you know. Which, by the way, that was a hell of a fight as well. That card, too. UFC 269, I think that's what it was. That was a hell of... Especially that co-main event with Thug Rose and Zhang Weili. I think that's how you pronounce her name. That was a banger of a fight in itself. Oh, man. Talking gets your mouth dry real quick. Gets it drier than my DMs, but that's also a different story for a different day. Let's look. Looking at something here real quick. There was something I was looking at real quick. But yeah, just in general with this... just with the AFC in itself, and you know what, we'll save that for a minute. Let's talk about this Odell Beckham signing real quick with the LA Rams, because holy hell, it was it was an insane. it was insane at the fact that 30 seconds prior, because I was driving when all this happened. Again, my friend Hunter, he FaceTimes. He was like, I cannot believe he went there, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I thought you were talking about just Cam Newton. I was like, that's old news. And he was like, no, Odell just signed with the Rams. And I said, oh, okay. Because they just let go of Josh Reynolds. So I'm like, all right, so you let go of Josh Reynolds, now you get Odell. All right, cool, that's great and all. And I think that is a better system for him because that is more of a pass-first team. And Matthew Stafford is going to get but then you also look at it as you have Cooper Kupp, who is he is the leading receiver, I believe, in the NFL. And then you get Robert Woods. He's a solid number 2. I would love to have him on the Steelers. He's good. And then obviously, and then you get Odell. Obviously, in that situation, I think he'll end up being the wide receiver 3. But I think he could end up having some success with that offense, similar to what we saw with Antonio Brown with Tampa Bay. He came in there, and obviously he wasn't going to be the Antonio Brown of old that us Steeler fans loved and had in his time. But it was one of those things where it's like, all right, see what happens. And then if he likes it there, because the cap is a myth, apparently, because I don't know where the hell, the money's coming over there, because my God, you go and trade for Von Miller, and then you bring in Odell, and it's just insane now. And then on top of that, you still have Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and then Matthew Stafford, and just, my God, it's insane. The fact that you don't have a draft pick till like 2096 is, I don't get it there. But yeah, it was an insane thing, and I'm interested to see how that offense is going to look. And then we get Carolina going ahead and signing Cam Newton again after the you had the infamous "they gave up on me" post when he's in the gym and blah 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 blah. We all saw it. I liked the fact that they did that because he's familiar with the team, he's familiar with everyone. Well, he's familiar with the organization. The fans they were very excited to get him back, and I'm also glad at the fact that for the rest of the year we don't have to hear Cam Newton coming to Pittsburgh, because that was getting annoying. And then obviously, yes, there were some people with the Odell thing. There were some of us, including myself. We were all messing around. I posted the Photoshop of Odell in a Steelers uniform a couple times. But it was a joke. I understood that he was not going to be a guy that was going to come to Pittsburgh, because at the end of the day, he would get just as irritated as he was in Cleveland as well, just because of the way the offense was ran. But obviously, P.J. Walker is going to start on Sunday. Who do they play? They play the Cardinals. Kyler Murray has not practiced all week for them, so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch in itself. I apologize. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting thing with that. And other than that, I could get into real quick this TJ Watt versus Myles Garrett situation or debate again, and obviously I made a tweet earlier in the week that ended up going a little bit viral, or that kind of blew up a little bit, where we talked about let me go through all the comments, my lord. Myles Garrett, who had 12 sacks and 12 tackles for loss and 0 forced fumbles in 9 games. And then on here, on my post, I put 7 games, but the reality was 6.5. 11.5 sacks, so a half a sack less. 11 tackles for loss and 3 forced fumbles in 6.5 games. Really? I understand Myles Garrett is a freak. He's a physical specimen. I hate what he did with Mason Rudolph, but again, not that I understand why he did it, but that's in the past now, and just strictly as a player, I can respect him. I look at him as one of the best pass rushers, probably the second best pass rusher. But you look at those stats, and then you saw TJ Watt make basically the game-winning play against Seattle. Myles Garrett has not done that. So there you go with that. So For those that want to say Myles Garrett's better, pretty much you are just pretty much a Browns fan, or you just absolutely are a Steeler hater, which, again, we've been getting a lot of with that as well. But, unless we get anything else here in the next minute or so, I think I am going to end it a little early tonight. There's not really all that much going on with this team. Hopefully we're gonna get Caleb back next week, and we'll get more into the hockey stuff, and we might have something in the works with that. But yeah, we might just go ahead and make this a shorter week. I do hope to see everyone who's going to be there on Saturday and just throughout the weekend there in Pittsburgh. If you see me, say what's up. I'm going to be probably with Jared and Marcus and all them, Smitty and all them. I'm going to be with them all weekend. So that's going to be fun. I'm in, real quick, let me find what section I'm in because I already forgot. I'm in blah, 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 blah. I'm in section 106. So anyone sitting in section 106, you're going to probably see me there as well. But thank you everyone for tuning in. It was a fun